Hey, g'day guys, it's Adam from VideoShowMeHow. And in this video, we're installing a snorkel, which means we're gonna be drilling some holes in the side of our brand new D-MAX. Let's get started. So I've been wanting to put a snorkel on the side of the D-MAX for some time. I've been researching the different types. We've got stainos, we've got the plastics, we've got the classics, and SAFARI, best in the business, made in Australia, locally here, and they've been around for decades. Now, super quickly, why the heck would you put one of these on the side of your truck in the first place? A couple of different reasons. One, you're raising the height of the wading depth of your vehicle. Now the D-MAX is pretty good. From factory, you come in at 800 millimeters of wading depth, provided you're moving. And that gets you right around there, just at the top of the tire. So not too bad, not too bad. However, the snorkel gets you up here. So obviously much better up the top. And number two for me is you're raising the height of the air intake. So if you are doing those big touring miles in really dusty environments, that kind of thing, you're getting your intake up nice and high, and that is going to help get out of that sort of dust and what have you to keep your airbox and air cleaner for a little bit longer. Some people will talk about reason number three, which is the ram effect of air being forced into your intake or what have you. Guys, if you do your research on that sort of stuff, unless you're talking hardcore race applications, the ram effect is going to be negligible at best. So SAFARI, being the legends that they are, sent over their brand new V-Spec snorkel. So let's pull the thing apart and see what we get. Template, spacer, intake hose adapter, airbox mods, all our bolts and bits and bobs, all in stainless of course, our monster one-piece ram head, and of course the actual snorkel itself. So you can see that's everything you get with the kit. Really obvious really quickly just how high quality everything is. Thick sidewalls for the snorkel body, great high quality fittings and what have you here as well. And the best thing about SAFARI is they take the time to actually engineer it for your particular vehicle. So it follows the contours of the fenders and what have you, so that you get that really nice snug fit. Now, other than what comes in the kit, you're going to need a couple of things, and they are a 79mm hole saw and drill, ideally a step drill, some regular drill bits, some Loctite, some standard masking tape, some Sikaflex, some 227, and some touch-up paint. We're not going to be spraying, so it doesn't have to be in a can. And then finally, you need something that we're going to be cutting a bit of a hole. The hole saw is only going to do part of the job. We then need something else. Now I'm going to use the Dremel, and you can probably get away with a few other things. You could use your jigsaw. I know it's a problem. You could use something like this with a metal bit on there. You could use a reciprocating saw like this. You could even use some standard tin snips. They're gonna do the job as well. So we've got all of our kit. We've got the kit all laid out, ready to go. So let's get started. Step one is pop the hood. The next step is to remove our factory ducting into the airbox. You can see there, water straight down there, no good. They've even got a little do not put the hose down in there, because obviously that is straight into the airbox. So this is going to be no more. We need to pop these clips and you can take this whole part out. The next step is we want to actually remove the airbox itself. So you just need to get yourself a flathead here like this. You'll see that we have a hose clamp there. We just got to undo those and pop each of our little clips here to take this whole top section off. And then to take off our map sensor here, it's just a matter of pushing down and then pulling at the same time. It will come off, no problems. And then once you've got it out, you can just sit it up to the side just like that. Take out your air filter itself. And once you've got access like this, there are 3 12 mils. There's one there, there's another one hiding down in there, and then there is one down in there in the corner. So 1, 2, 3, just got to remove those and we can take out the bottom part of the airbox. So the next step is preparing for the exciting part of this expedition, which is cutting a hole in our brand new car. So head on over to your template. You want to remove this slot here and this slot here. Bring your template over to the guard. Now this part's important. We want to get this little slotty bit and see how it comes down here onto the guard. You want to get that corner up into that corner there. And if you do that and get that nice and aligned, you will see that the rest of the template if I line it up properly, follows the rest of the guard. We're lined up in each of the parts of the body there. Grab your tape everything into position, and then we'll move on to the next step. The next step is grab your marker, and we want to basically go across where all of our little holes are, and then outline your main hole. We're going to need to drill a hole about there and another big one about there. That's going to enable us to cut this guy out, no worries at all. And once you've got everything all nice and marked up, you can remove the template. Then once you've removed the template, what you're left with on your nice new shiny paint is a whole bunch of permanent marker. We've got a bunch of holes. This is where it gets exciting, guys. This is where it gets exciting. We've got to drill some holes. Now, it's all good, guys. You can totally do this. Just take your time. You want to use your 4mm drill bit and just do a pilot hole. So straight through each of these, then get your step bit drill. I recommend using one of these. Just I find with this, you're going to get probably less burrs and what have you. And then we want to drill each of these 6 holes out to 16mm. And just before you start drilling, just get some of your tape and run it along the inside of your flare here to make sure that no sort of swarf gets down into this side of the flare. And next step, party time. It's time to drill some holes into your brand new car. All right, good stuff, all done. And the next step is we want to make these little 4mm holes 16mm holes. So grab your step drill bit and do a bit of prep. I like putting a bit of tape around the step that I need to stop at so I don't go crazy and get out to 20mm or anything like that. Get your size, mark it up, and then drill these guys out. So all done, you've got your 6 holes all done, job finished, and you're good to go there. The next step is to tackle this guy. Now, depending on which way you go here and what tools that you're going to use to do this, if you're going to use a reciprocating body saw, drill a couple of holes to get yourself started and then just cut this out. Now, I'm going to be cheating here a little bit and using a bigger hole saw. This one is an 89mm, and if you've got one that size, it pretty well perfectly fits on each of the curves. So I'm going to put one in there and the other one just in here, and then to tidy up just these last bits, I'm going to be using my Dremel. Now, anything that you're doing here that's going to cause any sparks, so pretty much anything other than reciprocating body saws or the tin snips, that kind of deal, go to town with your tape, and that's just to protect your paint from any sparks. So all taped up, ready to go. We've got our big hole saw. I'm just using a little bit of our cutting fluid on here as well, just to make life a little bit easier. And it's a matter of aligning this guy up and getting stuck in. So there we go, hole number 1, and then same again on this side. So there we go, hole number 2 all done. So just getting our little cutoff wheel here on the Dremel, and we just need to go around and just tidy up these leftover edges. And there we go, all sorted. You can see down in there, you can see through to our airbox and engine bay, so that's all good. The next step is just to tidy up each of these edges here. You can do that in a couple of ways. You can use a bit of a file, or I've got the Dremel out, so I'm just going to get one of their bits and just sand around in here before we give the leftover bits a bit of a touch-up paint. And once you've got all of the sharp edges and it's looking great, you can now remove all of our tape and check out our handiwork. Then once you're at this point, it's just a matter of then getting your touch-up point. I'm going to be using just one of the little Q-tips and just some black paint. This is all going to be covered up, and we just want to go across any of the little silver bits, the bits where we've got some bare steel. We just want to cover that up with some quick dry enamel just to prevent any rust. And there we go, any of our exposed metal all painted and ready to go. So while that's drying, you can take a breather, take a few deep breaths and back away from the fender and move on to the snorkel itself, because we need to start fitting up our brackets to the top. And what we need to do here is in each of our mounting points here, we want to get our stainless steel studs here like this. We want to get some of our red Loctite, and we just want to dab and then screw these guys in just finger tight. Okay, great. So once all of our studs are all in, the next part is to grab our bracket. That needs to go in facing inwards like that, and then just secure it into place with each of our little studs. Just has to be hand tight because we will be taking this back off. Once we're good here, we want to come back over to the D-MAX. We should be nearing dry enough here on our guard. Check out your A-pillar. We want to put some tape all the way down here because we're going to be test fitting our snorkel into our guard and then marking up where our final couple of holes need to be drilled. So once your tape is in position, grab your snorkel itself, gently just put it into position, and then with it in position, you want to come in underneath and you can see where your bracket is. You want to get your marker and just mark on the edge, sort of the outline of said bracket onto the tape. Then you can take your snorkel back off, and what you should be left with is just a mark of basically where the bracket needs to sit. From there, you want to then take your bracket back off and then take your bracket back over to the A-pillar, and it will sit on here just like this. So this is kind of like the cradle. It's holding your snorkel up. And basically you want to line it up where you've made your 2 holes. And then with your marker, just mark each of our 3 holes once everything is all nice and square. And once you've got your pilot holes drilled, you will need to use an actual drill bit for this one, an 8mm. The D-MAX has an inner part of the A-pillar there that you don't want to be drilling through. So just take your time and drill those guys out to an 8mm. Once you've got your 8mm holes, same story, pull the tape off. You want to deburr these edges and use your black paint or your color match paint once again, just to cover up any of the bare steel. Once all done there, we want to get our little plastic inserts, these little guys here, just like that, and then these just clip into place. Give them a tap with a dead blow or something if you need to. And once you got those in place, grab your bracket, grab your 3 self tappers, and then it's just a matter of final installing your bracket into its final position. And don't go crazy over tightening, but they just need to be snug. So with our A-pillar bracket all installed, congratulations, no more holes. All your holes are drilled. The anxiety levels can come down. Congratulations. The next step is to grab the base of our factory airbox, and we can start making the couple of little modifications to this so that we can get the rest of it all buttoned up. Now we need to do some modifications to our airbox, basically because when this sits in there, we want this over here. So we're going to basically seal this guy up, and we've got a nice new piece here that's designed to go on our factory airbox. So that's basically going to sit in there just like that, and so that will give us a side entrance. So to do that, we need to remove some ribbing. We need to remove the ribbing along here, and that's because we want to have a nice smooth and sealed fit. So we want to slice away, use your Stanley knife. I'm going to cheat again and use our Dremel tool. We just want to carve these 3, 1, 2, and 3 out, and then these guys on the side there as well. Now the next step is to grab your masking tape. We want to put some tape around here and then around these sections here as well, because from here we'll be putting our template on and drilling a couple of little holes through here so that we can start mounting up our brackets to install our inlet. Right, awesome. So once we're all taped up, you want to get this template that came with the kit. You want to find this little notch up the top here, and that belongs in this little section here. So see that little notch there? That little notch goes on that little notch. Line up the top section here with the top of the airbox, and then that gives you your template basically. So you want to grab your pen once again and just color in each of the little holes. And then once you've marked all of those holes, you can take that away and you should see your marks on the actual airbox itself. The next step, once you've got that side done, is to do the back end. So you want to grab your last little template. This one here is aligned to the top mark there. So same sort of story, grab your pen, color in your holes. And there we go, you can remove that one there as well. And once you're all marked up, you want to grab your 4.5mm drill bit and you want to drill all of these holes all the way through. Now once all 17 holes are drilled, we're getting towards the tail end here. You want to get your little inlet bracket. That's going to sit in there just like that. Line up all the holes. You've got this main one right in the middle there. Now what do you reckon is going to happen there? That's of course where our 79mm hole saw goes. That's going to go right in the middle, and that is our pilot hole for it. So that's our next step. We want to get our 79mm hole saw and we want to drill this guy out so that our air can go into our airbox. Now once you've got your main hole drilled, just want to take some time and really clean up all of the burrs. You want to just make sure there's no leftover sort of swarf or anything like that. So take your time, give it a bit of a clean up. So our next step is getting this all sealed up. To do that, we want to get our Sikaflex 227. We want to basically then run a solid bead of sealant all the way around here. We want to then just get that into place just like that. Use your brackets. The long one, for example, will sit there just like that, and then just get one of your riv nuts and just sit it in there so that you can kind of get everything all lined up before you final pop rivet everything down. On two of these little short guys, you will have to just put them in a vise or something and give them a bit of a whack. You really want to just bend over the end of two of these, and that is because we have a bit of a curve happening on this one, and then also on this one we also have a similar curve. And then just keep working your way all the way around until you've got a nice solid seal, and then grab your pop rivet gun and start popping all of these into place. You want to make sure that you're going from the inside so it's flush so that you can easily mount the filter, no problem at all. So almost all done here. The only two left are this guy over here and this guy here. Basically we just need to be using the two washers that were supplied. They'll go on there just like that, and same sort of story, just pop your pop rivet through both of those and then general clean up. So once you're at this stage and you have your new inlet all installed, the next step is to seal up our factory one. So we want to remove any of this, the foam around the inside. You should be able to just peel that away just like that. We then want to take this out so we can seal it all up. So we have to dismantle this whole section. So once you've got your foam off, you'll see that this section has a couple little tabs, flat-headed screwdriver just in each of these. Just take your time and the whole thing just swivels out. And then this section here as well needs to come off. You can see where the joint is. So at the top here, same sort of thing, just pop the little tabs and that whole section will come out. So once you've got this section out, it's just a matter of grabbing each of the drain holes. So there's one there on the bottom. You want to pull that guy out so you can silicone it up. Same story with this, just get your flathead up underneath. That will come out nice and easy. Then basically you want to pretty well fill this with Sikaflex. So you want to absolutely make sure that is sealed, seal around the lips here as well, and reassemble, and do the same thing for the top section here, the last drain hole in the box, and that way everything is nice and waterproof. Alrighty, so there we go. That is our finished product. Sik is still wet, so it'll dry down to a matte color there. From here, we want to grab our end cap, and surprise, surprise, that's exactly where it goes. It goes over the end. So if you push that one into place, probably not a bad thing if the Sika is still a little bit wet, just to help seal it down. And then we want to get one of our hose clamps here and tighten that one into place. There we go, just like that, all done. Now over to our new inlet, and here we want to get our piece of stainless, our stainless pipe here. That's going to fit inside just like that. Clamp over one end, sitting in there just like that. And you want to leave it so that a chunk of it is still sticking out, because that is what we're going to fit our elbow to, and it's going to sit in there just like that. So just leave about the 20 odd mil there and tighten down the hose clamp over the top. Not all the way, just give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. And then line him up, just make sure you've got enough width here that you're going to cover off where your clamping is. Once you are comfortable with that, just tighten this up, because we don't want this to slide back in when we put our elbow on. So once he's nice and tight, get your other clamp on first. Don't make that mistake. Pop that one in and slide him home into place just like that. And then tighten this one down. This one though, we don't want to tighten fully until we put it back into the D-MAX to make sure that it is oriented in the right direction. And here we go, all nice and dry. We have each of the different reinforcing brackets. We've got everything nice and sealed all the way around, and your blanking cap all installed. So once our airbox is done and all modified and ready to go, have this piece all installed. Keep this one a little bit loose just so you can now fit it back into our guard. Get this area all nice and clean and ready to go, and basically you're going to want to drop it in through there so that it then comes back out this side. Now for me, I've got the bigger tyres and what have you in here, so I don't have a whole lot of room. I am going to remove the inner fender. Pretty straightforward to do. There's just a couple of these little bolts that you undo and that whole center section comes out. For me, because of this, I'm just going to remove the tyre to get easier access. So there we go, that's about all that we actually need to take out. You can go to town and remove the rest of it and pull this right back, but we only really need to get to our hole up in here, right? So we need to be able to see this feed through to where our little grommet, our little pipe goes through, and then we need to be able to access each of these holes to be able to tighten up the bolts behind them. So once you're at that stage, the next step is to final install our air box. So to do that, you just need to remove the new air intake, just swivel him off. And then what you want to do is you want to final slot this guy into position so that it's now back lined up roughly where our new stainless piece is facing out. And then once you've got this guy sitting in position, you basically want to then just connect up the hose through the fender flare, through the guard. Don't forget your hose clamp. And there we are, so that's what that should look like, all nice and torqued down. You can final tighten those there now. You can also reinstall each of the 3 bolts that go through to secure our airbox. So there we go, all nice and installed. That's our final position there, all done there. We're looking good, we're almost done here. There is our new snork. So surprise, surprise, we've only got a couple of steps to do. The black one of these guys goes over the top. This one is what's going to secure the snorkel component, our intake hose here, to the snorkel itself. So you just need to bend this guy into more of an oval shape, just like that. Just take your time, nothing sort of too crazy, literally just like that. And then you want to orient it so that you can actually access this guy from the bottom. So I probably did that the wrong way. It's probably more like that. And that way you can get your screwdriver up from underneath here and tighten that into place. So the next step is to final install our snorkel bodies. So grab that guy, take your time, take it really easy. You don't want to scuff up any of the paint that you've now protected. So just slot him in there, put this one on first, and then final tighten the snorkel intake to the snorkel itself. And that's what it should be looking like up underneath. You can see that you just need to position it so that it is nice and flush up under here and that you've got your hose clamp in position. Once you're satisfied with where that all sits, that it's not rubbing or anything, you can tighten this hose clamp down. And once we're all secured here, we're all secured up under there and we're looking good. The only other thing is we've just got to secure this guy into place properly. So from here, these are the 2 little bolts that secure the top section of the snorkel. So they just need to go into our brackets just under here. That secures the top. And then these 6 little nylock bolts here and washers just need to come up underneath the flare here into each of our studs that we installed earlier. And then we just want to tighten those down. Not crazy tight, just regular tight. And so with this guy all installed or bolted up, we're kind of running out of parts. We don't have many left. We've only got our ram head and our black version of our stainless hose clamp. So this guy just needs to literally live straight up the top here. Before you put that on, Adam, put the hose clamp on and then just place it over the top there. And then with your hose clamp, you just want to line it up so that it's easy to get to. Grab your flathead and then it's just a matter of tightening this guy up. And there we go, all done, nice and solid. Just incidentally, you can see, this is one of the cool things with the SAFARIs, you can see there's a bit of a gap up in there, same up in around this side and around the other side here as well. That is for water to come out. So when it's bucketing down, this is a pretty good design anyway, but if water's gonna go shooting in there, it gets forced around the outside and drains straight out here. So it doesn't go down and into your airbox. And that for me is one of the big advantages. I prefer this style over the old stainos, even though they look pretty cool. This design for me just gives you a little bit better protection. And guys, guess what? That is pretty well sorted. From here, we need to put our inner guard back the same way that we pulled it apart, throw our tire back on, and then whack our air filter back into place, back into the airbox, and button it all back up. And there we go, guys. I hope that you found that helpful. That was the install of the V-Spec Safari snorkel on our 2021 ISUZU D-MAX. Massive thanks to the legends over at Safari 4x4 Engineering for helping out with this build. They're a bunch of legends. If you want to get your hands on one of these, I will make sure to link up a bunch of different options down in the description below. As always, massive thanks to the Patreons of the channel. Really appreciate your extra support. If you're keen to get involved, check out the perks and the merch and that sort of stuff that you do get with. Head on over to the Patreon page, links in the description. Other than that, guys, I hope that you found that helpful. There is a chunk more chunky D-MAX mods on the way, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the playlist. We're up to like 22 or 23 videos for this sucker now, so we're really enjoying it. But as always, guys, I hope that you have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.